You know, over the years, I've had several patients who I've sent for pelvic floor therapy after having a hysterectomy. Well, today I have the pleasure of talking with Dr. Michelle Moore. She's a local physical therapist in my community that focuses on pelvic floor disorders, and I've sent patients to her for the last 5 to 6 years. And today she's going to sit down and talk to me about what are some of the things that she sees in patients who've had a hysterectomy, whether it's open or robotic, and some of the tips and tricks that you can do at home that can help ease your recovery. That sounds good to you? Watch this video next. All right, welcome. I'm Dr. duPont, a board-certified gynecologic oncologist, and today we're going to talk about recovery after hysterectomy in terms of how do you get back to work faster, get back to your normal activities, and one key component of that is making sure your pelvic floor is strong and that you are healing appropriately after surgery. So today I'm with Dr. Michelle Moore. She's a pelvic floor physical therapist, and I am in her offices today, and she's going to just talk to us a little bit about pelvic floor physical therapy, how it relates to healing after surgery, and how we can improve your health and help you get back to surgery faster. Now, when I first thought about this in terms of hysterectomy, I actually had a patient who was in the Army. I wasn't going to send her to physical therapy. She had had an open hysterectomy for, I think, fibroids. That was very common. And she wanted to get to work faster. Of course, she's in the Army. She couldn't take a lot of time off. I think she took 6 weeks. But still, she wanted to be able to get back to her normal activities faster. So what kind of things should patients think about when they're having surgery, especially a hysterectomy, whether it's an open hysterectomy or robotic hysterectomy, in terms of, pelvic floor function, reducing prolapse, reducing urinary problems after surgery? So
Well, thanks for having me. So yeah, that's a great question. When it comes to pelvic floor and hysterectomy, we like to look at two things. We like to look at the overall strength of the pelvic floor muscles. When you remove the uterus from the pelvic floor structure, or those abdominal organs, that it has structure there, and so when you take an organ out, you lose that structure, you lose that strength that you did have. So one of the things that we like to focus on is making sure that the patient has good pelvic floor muscle strength, because the pelvic floor muscles, they help hold those organs up. When you take the uterus out, that can set you up for prolapse in the future because of the integrity of the way those organs are sitting. That space is there, and that can allow the rectum to either fall forward or the bladder to fall back.
And I'm stuck there. I do have some videos on hysterectomy, kind of recovery after hysterectomy. I redid one of my more popular ones on hysterectomy, adding the pelvic floor, because I know as doctors we don't talk about a lot what happens after hysterectomy. We're talking about, okay, we're going to treat cancer, or we're going to stop your bleeding, or we're going to remove your fibroids, but we don't talk about sexual function as much. We don't talk about prolapse as much, even though I've been trying to do better and tell patients ahead of time, hey, we're going to do our very best to prevent prolapse, but still it happens.
It happens, yeah. But one of the ways that we can jump out in front of that, or kind of maybe push it off, or not, hopefully prevent it, is by strengthening up the pelvic floor, because the pelvic floor, one of the functions is to help support the organs and to help hold those organs up. So we like to address patient with hysterectomy. We want to assess their pelvic floor muscle strength to make sure they have a good, sturdy pelvic floor to give them that support that they need for the organs, and to minimize any type of leakage that may occur.
And she had this great model, and I was playing with it in between, and I took some of the stuff out. So can you just maybe show them exactly what happens when we take out that uterus?
Okay. So we have our pelvic model here. So we have our organs here. So we have the bladder that sits here. The uterus sits right here. And then we have the rectum right behind here. So with hysterectomy, I'm going to take everything out. We may not take everything out, but for the model, we have to take everything out. So we're going to take out the uterus here. And so when we take that out, and we're going to just make that our symbol of we just had a hysterectomy. Now we have this nice space here where that uterus used to sit. So there are ligaments that attach these organs together. So when you take out the uterus, we lose some of that structure that's inside of the organs. And sometimes the bladder may fall backwards here, or the rectum may fall forward here. And what we call that is a pelvic organ prolapse. The pelvic floor muscles, and I'll take these organs out so that you can see how they are in orientation to the organs. They sit at the bottom here. And those pelvic floor muscles, they help support those organs, and they act as a floor or a shelf to the organs to keep them in the right position. So with a patient who's having a hysterectomy, it's very important to make sure that we have good pelvic floor muscle strength so that we don't run into those prolapse problems after a hysterectomy.
So that was really helpful talking about pelvic floor and just showing patients, where the uterus and bladder is in relation to each other. So what practical things can people do? Let's say they can't see you, they can't afford it, there's not one close by in terms of the pelvic floor therapist. What can they do at home?
So everyone can always squeeze their pelvic floor muscles. A good way to kind of do a self-prescription of your pelvic floor would be to squeeze and see how long can you hold. And once you find out that number, then that's the number that you want to train. My goal here in the clinic is usually to get a patient to be able to squeeze and hold for 10 seconds without dropping.
So when you're squeezing and holding, it's almost like when your bladder's full and you kind of rush to the restroom,
yes,
but you don't go, you just kind of hold it in. So that's what you mean, squeezing and holding?
Squeezing and holding, yeah. Another way to test that is to try, when you're in the bathroom, to start the flow of urine and see if you can cut that flow off.
So like the stream and then stop?
And stop, yes.
And then just hold it in?
Yes, and if you can do that, then you'll know you're squeezing the right muscles. Another cue is to pretend like you have a straw in your pelvic floor and you're trying to suck a milkshake. And you want to squeeze around that straw. And milkshakes are a little thick, so they don't just come, the milkshake doesn't come up easy. But you want to pull the pelvic floor. You should be feeling everything pull in. Another good cue is to pretend like there's a bunch of marbles on the floor and you're going to pick these marbles up with your pelvic floor. So you want to squeeze, and you should feel everything draw in and upward. If you still feel like you have trouble with finding where your pelvic floor is and finding, am I squeezing right? Take a handheld mirror and lay down and angle that mirror so you can see. You should see the pelvic floor, the perineum draw in. That's a good way to check.
So what about the incision? So, for open surgery, you may have a transverse or vertical incision, and that has a lot of pain. The laparoscopic ones don't usually have pain unless you're in an infection, but sometimes they can. So what do we do in terms of incisional pain?
Correct. Okay, so we like to focus on two things, or look at two things when it comes to abdominal or surgical scars. We look at the mobility of the scar. Is the scar moving like it needs to? Or are there a lot of scar tissue adhesions that have developed? Or are the layers of fascia and muscle and skin, are they adhered together? So we'd like to check to see and make sure that there's good mobility between those scars. If there's not, then we do what we call scar tissue mobilization, where we go in and we kind of break that scar tissue up to help stretch and get those layers of tissue moving like they should. So that would be the first thing that we would focus on. The second thing would be pain. Some surgical scars, they haven't been touched and they become extra hypersensitive. And so we want to try to prevent that. So a good tip to help prevent the hypersensitivity that can develop from a post-surgical scar would be to get a cotton ball and just kind of do some light touching on that scar with the cotton ball in a circular motion. Or you can take a makeup brush and just rub that makeup brush over the scar multiple times a day, just to get some type of touch or sensation or tactile pressure on the scar.
So these are ones that hurt a lot.
These are ones that hurt a lot, yep. Because we're trying to desensitize it. It's when the scars are hypersensitive like that, it's because, when we have surgery, we protect that area. We don't want to touch it. We don't even want to, some people don't even want to wash it. We just want to let it heal, but we have to touch it. And you can do some light touch with your hands if you can tolerate that. Or if it's just too sensitive, then the cotton ball or the makeup brush is another option to help desensitize those scars.
Yeah, and you can also talk to your doctor, because sometimes I'll have patients that may have some nerve entrapment, and a lot of times I'll put some local anesthetic or lidocaine and try to numb that up. And a lot of times, in some patients it helps, not everybody, but some people it does help. Yeah, so if you're having that pain, definitely talk to your doctor. Don't suffer in silence. Make sure that you've at least, told them what's happening, because we don't know if you don't tell us. So we talked about in terms of pelvic floor, prolapse, and then incision pain. Anything else that patients come to you that you find people ask you a lot about after surgery?
So the other pieces would be pain with intercourse. A lot of patients post hysterectomy have pain with intercourse. So how we assess that is we do a pelvic exam and we want to see if are there any scar tissue adhesions inside of the pelvic floor that may be a result of the surgery, or are the muscles guarding? Because when we have surgeries or if we get injured, our body's response is to guard, and the pelvic floor muscles are one of the main muscles in the body that will guard and will tighten up because we're trying to protect that area. So if that's going on, then we work on down training and doing some pelvic floor muscle relaxation techniques to help minimize some of that pain and guarding.
Yeah, those are really good too. And then also remember, if you are postmenopausal or if your ovaries were removed, you may have pain because of dryness. So definitely talk to your healthcare provider to see if maybe estrogen's appropriate for you, or there's some water-based lubricants that are non-hormonal. There's also some silicone-based ones. So there's many different options. So definitely, if you're having issues or troubles, let your healthcare provider know. Because again, if you don't tell us, we don't know you're having issues. So those are very helpful. Anything else that you think that patients typically ask you a lot after like a robotic or open hysterectomy?
We do work on movement strategies to help people get in and out of the bed. Some people have pain when they cough. So we recommend that you get a pillow and you put it really close to the incision before you cough. And then I always recommend if you're moving and getting out of your bed, if you're going from a laying down to a sitting up position, don't go straight up. Do a log roll where you roll your entire body, swing your legs over, and then get up that way.
Yeah, so that's very helpful. You know, I do tell my patients that after surgery, if they're going home, especially those that are going home same day, bring a pillow and leave it in the car, because every pothole, every bump, you will feel. If someone makes you laugh, you will be in pain because it'll hurt. But the log roll is really good advice. Anything else? Got everything?
Cover everything, yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being here today and for giving us information just about how to recover after hysterectomy. Please see my videos on, tips on how to recover after hysterectomy, whether it's an open or laparoscopic. If you have pelvic floor therapy after hysterectomy and you want to put some of your experiences down, please put it in the comments below. I hope you found that helpful. If you have any questions, let me know, and you can check Dr. Michelle Moore out. She's in the Woodlands, Texas, for those of you who are local. But for those of you who aren't in the U.S. or not in Texas, we'll put links as to where you can find other physical therapists, perhaps near you, or where you can find resources in your local community. Thank you for watching to the very end, and thank you, Dr. Moore, for being here today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right. See you next time. Bye-bye.